On Thursdays, Dad always takes me to the shop to get a magazine and some sweets. Then we go home and watch TV together. Mum works late on Thursdays and Dad says this is our time. He also lets us have fish and chips for tea. I love fish and chips. Dad likes to talk to Bobby, who owns the shop. They argue about football, but they like each other really. Bobby has a wee boy who goes to my school. His name is Jags. Sometimes Bobby gives me and Jags a sweetie. I like Bobby. Jags has something called epilepsy. It means that he falls down sometimes and he shakes. His dad sits with him until he feels better. Sometimes Jag falls at school. When he falls and shakes, it's called a seizure. That's what his dad says. The rest of the time, he looks like everyone else.
What's this? What's this? This wee man's having an epi. Help me! Help me! Help me! He's giving me an epi! Ah!
Macy! Macy, we're supposed to be getting some chips. Macy, what's wrong, darling?
I'm fine.
Well, it doesn't look like you're fine. You were fine at the shop, so what's happened?
You were really horrible.
What? What are you talking about?
You were just horrible. You were just like those boys. You made Jags feel awful.
Macy, I don't know what you're saying.
They were laughing at Jags and saying he was having an epi, and you laughed. I saw you.
What?
You laughed. You're not meant to laugh. You're meant to stop them.
You mean the kids at the shop? Macy, they were just having a laugh.
It's not funny.
Right, okay, hang on a minute. They didn't do anything to hurt Jags. It was a bit of fun.
But it did hurt Jags. He was upset. You don't have to hit people to hurt them. And you shouldn't use words like epi. And you shouldn't make fun of people. Mrs. Fulton says that you can get into trouble.
Okay, well, it's not very nice, I suppose. But I didn't actually say anything.
That's not the point, Dad. You laughed and you didn't do anything to tell them off.
Alright. So, was I supposed to give them a row?
Well, if you don't, then they'll just do it again. And they might get even worse.
Oh, come on, Macy. I don't think they're...
But they will, Dad. And that's why we've got Happiness Heroes. That's what it's all about.
Happiness Heroes?
Yes, I'm even one. Happiness Heroes help people who are being called names. We tell the person doing it to stop, or we tell a teacher, and that way it doesn't get worse.
That's good.
We help people being called names feel better. We go with them at break if they want, or they can sit on the buddy bench if they want someone to come over and talk to them. Plus, Mrs. Fulton says that if a grown-up calls people names like that, they can really get into trouble.
Okay.
I can't believe you did that, Dad. I can't believe you didn't tell those kids off.
Listen, I'm really sorry, sweetheart. Let me see your badge again. That's amazing, darling. What? How about you tell me all about it whilst we go and get our fish and chips, eh? I'd like to hear more about the buddy bench too. Yes,
Okay. I think Dad gets why I was upset. I just hope there's no trouble this week.
Hey, Bobby. See you again last night, huh?
No, didn't catch it.
Alright.
Your usual, Macy? That you then?
Aye.
£5.9, please. Thank you. Hi, Macy.
Oh, look who it is again. Oh, hey, Eppie. You going to have an Eppie, wee man? Come on, we all want to look. Eppie, 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 Eppie.
Guys, can I have a wee word? Listen, you can't speak to people like that, okay? Maybe have a wee bit of respect, eh? Thanks, guys. Yeah, right, kiddo.
So that's how my dad learnt about not calling people names. It doesn't matter what it is that makes people think you're different, whether you have epilepsy, autism, asthma, diabetes, blonde hair, black hair, red hair, brown hair, black skin, white skin, brown skin, purple skin. Calling people names isn't right. It makes people feel bad and it can get you into trouble. Be a happiness hero instead. Happiness heroes don't call people names, don't laugh at people or make them feel bad. Happiness heroes speak up for people and help younger children feel safe. I think my dad understands what it takes to be a happiness hero now. Maybe I'll let him have a happiness hero badge too. I couldn't believe it when my dad thought those kids were being funny. I felt really bad for Jags. My dad didn't know he was doing anything wrong, but Jags was upset. I was upset. I think Bobby was upset too. Mrs. Fulton says you have to be very careful and you shouldn't make fun of people. When you make fun of people like that, they can feel terrible. Plus, if you're a grown-up and you make fun of people, you can really get into trouble. Sometimes even the police can come to see you. Mrs. Fulton says...
Sorry, could you just tell us who Mrs. Fulton is?
She's my teacher. She told us about how we should be careful and treat people nicely and not call them names or make fun of them. Mrs. Fulton told us about being happiness heroes and how we can help other people feel better. We shouldn't call people names just because we think they're different. And if we see someone being called names, we should ask them if we can help. So if we all help, we can stop people being treated badly.
I couldn't believe it. My own daughter. And she was disappointed in me. I was absolutely gutted. I didn't think I'd done anything wrong. I mean, I laughed at these kids having a joke, but she was really upset. Then I thought about it. Poor Jags. It must be so difficult for him having these seizures, not to mention having these seizures in front of people. He doesn't need folk making fun of him as well as that. And I made it worse by laughing too. I didn't realise it was wrong, I just didn't think. Macy made me think. She made me realise that I was being hurtful. She told me about these happiness heroes I've been learning about in school, and I thought it was a great idea. So I've changed my attitude towards people who seem different to me, and I cleaned up my act. Macy told me that speaking about someone like that could be called a hate crime. I could even get a criminal record for it. I had no idea. I'm taking this idea seriously though. Macy says I can become a happiness hero too. So I'm chuffed about that.
I just wish I could be there all the time for him, but of course I can't. I like the idea of happiness heroes they have at school. I think that helps Jags feel he can ask for help. I know that other kids probably don't really realise what they're doing. They think they're just having fun, but it can turn serious. I've had that myself. I don't have epilepsy, but because of my Asian background, you know, a few jokes here, a bit of name calling. But the problem is, as those kids get older, then it can get more serious. That kid that called me names at school ended up shouting stuff at me in the street when we got older, and then there was some trouble in the shop. He just never learned. Now I know that I could have done something about it rather than keep quiet. It caused me a lot of sleepless nights, I tell you. But now I know if it's an adult doing it, I just need to call the police and tell them. It's something called a hate crime. There can be serious consequences. So I think it's important that kids find out when they're in primary school, you know, when they wouldn't be put in jail for a bit of name calling. But they need to learn so that they don't get into trouble when they're older. So yeah, I'm all for this happiness heroes thing they're doing. I wonder if I could persuade Jags to get me a badge. I see Macy's dad got one.
And can you remember seeing anything like what happened to Jags in real life?
Well, yeah, I was in the town centre going down and I saw somebody in a wheelchair and I saw other teenagers pointing at him and laughing.
Now I know that I should maybe step in and tell them not to or get an adult.
Do you think you'd like to be a real happiness hero?
Well, it's good. It's good. It feels good to be one of those people that if someone's going through something, that they can look to for help.
Yeah, I think everyone should be happiness heroes because then nobody would get bullied and no one would feel sad.
It does feel really good if you have a friend there for you and someone to stick up for you.
So what have you learned making this film?
Well, I've learned that it's not right to call people names and bully them no matter what makes them different, because everyone's different, but people just have things that make them who they are, so it's not right to bully them because of that.
I'd like them to learn that everyone's different in their own ways, but you shouldn't make fun of them for that.